Thanks for tuning back into the channel. Today we're back with another Final Fantasy Commander deck profile for Cloud, ex-Soldier. He has haste whenever he enters, attach up to one target equipment to him, and then whenever he attacks, draw a card for each equipped attacking creature you control, and then if he has power 7 or greater, create 2 treasure tokens. He is the commander for the Precon. This is not the Precon deck list. This is a completely separate deck list, but he does seem like a fun commander, so I figure I'll do a deck profile of how you could run it if you were to, super upgrade that Precon. But yeah, let's get into the card by card. Basically, his ability says it all. We want to get him to power 7 or greater by using equipment on him and having other creatures that benefit off having equipment and other abilities that work with those equipment. First card we have here is Samut, the Driving Force. First strike, Vigilance, Haste, start your engines. Not exactly the best ability, start your engines, but it doesn't necessarily have to have max speed in order to work perfectly. Other creatures you control get +X+0, where X is your speed. And then 9 creature spells you cast cost X less to cast, where X is your speed. It's another thing to keep track of, so I can see not wanting to run this card, but it does get Cloud up to 6 power if they don't have anything to block it the first turn it comes out. And then, makes our equipment spells cost so much less to cast that they were basically free for a lot of them. Basilisk Collar is free just by having our engine started, and we're gonna have plenty of ways to deal damage to our opponents because all these equipment, we gotta deal some damage, right? For sorceries, we have Austere Command for a board wipe, Blasphemous Act for a board wipe, Cultivate for some mana, Farseek for some commander, Farewell for another board wipe, Kodamas Reach for some mana, Nature's Lore for some mana. Open the armory, get the whatever ore equipment we want out of our deck. It's just gonna be equipment in this deck. It's not. I don't think there's any ores in here. But attach them onto our creature. Same with Steel Shaper's Gift and Revisits for that mana again. I just figured out Scrollers because they mostly do the same thing. But let's get into the real bulk of this deck, which is the artifacts, 22 in total, followed by 20 creatures. Basilisk Collar, give our creature Death Touch and Lifelink. It doesn't get Cloud up to that 7 power, but the Death Touch is nice because it'll make it harder for them to block him, making it deal extra damage, and also Lifelink could be nice as well. We have Bitterhorn, Nisa's Animus. Group creatures +1/+1, getting Cloud closer at 7/7. Whenever a group creature attacks, search your library for a basic land card, but we mostly use it for that land search because we get it onto the living weapon token there, and also it gets us that additional draw on there because we'll need to do the extra legwork of casting another spell in order to get something to attach it to for Cloud's secondary ability. Blackblade Reforge, +1/+1 for each land we control. Cloud's cost 5, so we're gonna have 5 mana by the time he gets on the board. This may be one that you want to use Cloud's ability on to attach it to, just because it does have quite a high equip cost on it. Brotherhood Regalia, Ward 2, equipped legendary creature for 1, so quite easy. Can't be blocked. We want to deal damage. We can deal damage by not being able to be blocked. Colossus Hammer, +10/+10. Easily gets to 7 power or more. Just saying. This one wasn't the Precon. It's a great inclusion. Commander's Plate, +3/+3, gets him right up to that 7 power. Exactly what we need. Protection from each color that's not in your commander's color identity. So in his case, it would be black and blue. So, not exactly that many colors, but it still is super helpful just not being able to be blocked and getting up to that 7 power to get those treasure tokens. Embercleave, 1 less cast for each attacking creature you control, deals. Whenever Embercleave enters the battlefield, attaches a target creature you control, probably Cloud. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and double strike and trample. So, if we're going to be dealing damage, we may as well deal double damage. Also, something I do want to note about this deck is that I did build it prior to, a lot of the cards being, announced for the Final Fantasy set, so it is missing, some cards in here, but I did make another Cloud Midgard Mercenary, I believe his name was. But yeah, you can check that out on the channel. It'll be in the same playlist as this video. Excalibur, Sword of Eden. Equipped creature is +10/+0 and Vigilance. I'll guess a 7 power more. X less to cast, where X is the total mana value of historic permanents we control. All artifacts are historic permanents, so it's basically free to cast. Us even less with this, even less with Cloud. So, even if we just have Cloud on the board, that's just a 5 cost, then 2 to equip it to Cloud. But yeah, like I said, just a quick way to get him up to that 7 power or more in order to get his ability off. And also, Vigilance is always nice. Hammer of Nizan. Um, Whenever Hammer of Nizan or another equipment enters the battlefield, you may attach that equipment to target creature you control. +2/+0 doesn't get Cloud quite up to the 7 quite yet, but doesn't make him indestructible, which, keeps him around so we can get that additional power on him to get to that 7 power. And also makes it so that we could get our other ones that do just give like the +1/+1 onto him easier. Lightning Grease for that, giving some of our other creatures haste. Cloud, we don't really need to worry about giving him haste, but sometimes it is nice to give him that extra protection with the Shroud. Masterwork of Ingenuity. Masterwork Ingenuity enters the battlefield as a copy of equipment on the battlefield. Yeah, why don't we just have 2 Excaliburs of Eden or 2 Colossus Hammers? And then we have Cloud enter and have it get both. This way we get it to enough commander damage to win. Mitchell Coat, attaches a legendary creature, gains indestructible. Once again, another way to protect Cloud. Nettle Cyst, +1/+1 for each artifact or enchantment you control. Quick way to get Cloud to 7 power because we're going to have 7 or more artifacts or enchantments. Wait, artifact, yeah, or enchantment. Power Fist. Equipped creature has trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. So we give them trample. Easy way to get them up to 7 if they don't block them the first turn, because that puts them at an 8/8 already. Love to see it. Shadow Spear. Quick creatures +1/+1 trample lifelink. Just a quick way to get a little bit of power. But permanents you control lose permanents your opponents control lose hexproof. We don't want that on our creatures. An indestructible end of turn. If they decide like, oh, I have an indestructible that touch blocker, I could block that. No, they can't. Soul Ring for additional mana. Sword of Feast of Famine. Combat damage to a player discards a card, untap all lands we control, get more mana to cast more spells. +2/+2, so it only gets Cloud up to 6, but we only need one more in order to get him up to the power that we need for a 7/7. Sword of Heart and Home allows us to blink a creature and get a basic land. We just need a little bit of ramp sometimes. Sword of the Animus, +1/+1. Here we go. We use one of these and one of these, and we're up to 7 power. There we go. Sorry, also gets another land. And then Reaver Cleaver, +1/+1 and trample. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, create that many treasure tokens. So, another way to get plenty of mana. In total, I probably should be running more cards that do additional power onto Cloud, just because there's not that many that give him enough power to get up to 7/7. But if you added them up together, that will get him there eventually. But if you have certain cards that just do give +3/+0, maybe those could be more useful than certain cards in here, and also a lot cheaper than Embercleave. I feel like Commander's Plate is like one you may have to run in here. It's what I'm kind of surprised wasn't in the pre-con, because it fits it perfectly for like what we need it for. Anyway, Akiri, Fearless Voyager. Whenever you attack a player with one or more equipped creatures, draw a card to get a little bit of draw power. And we could reattach the equipment to a creature when we want to. Whenever he enters, look at the top 7 cards of your library, may reveal an equipment or a vehicle, put it into your hand. Draw power. Birds of Paradise for mana. Brainor, Battlehammer. Each creature you control gets +2/+0 for each equipment attached to it. So, even if we only have the +2/+2, it's +4/+2 now. May pay 0 rather than the equip cost for equipping abilities. So, if we have like Colossus Hammer, that costs 8 to equip. No, it doesn't. Cloud, Planet's Champion. During your turn, as long as Cloud is equipped, it has double strike and indestructible. Nothing too exciting. Equip abilities you activate that target Cloud, cost 2 less to activate. He's not like that great a card in all honesty, but like it could easily be a creature that gets 7/7 and deals enough damage to like finish off our opponents every so often. But overall, I don't know. I'm not too impressed by his card. Codsworth, Handy Helper. Get 2 mana. Get free attachment or equipment. All stuff we want to see. Danitha, when storing each of your turns, you may attach an or equipment spell from your graveyard. I missed that part. I don't know why. Sometimes I build so many decks I keep forgetting what a lot of cards do. Delighted Halfling for some mana. Dogmeat, Everloyal. Enters the battlefield, mill 5. Get equipment back from our graveyard onto him. Another creature that we want other creatures that benefit off of having equipment. This way we get that additional draw power off Cloud, since we don't always need that 7 mana for the 2 treasure tokens. Golden Tail Trainer, or equipment spells, you cost X less to cast, where X is his power. So initially 1, but if we attach an equipment to it, that gets more power. If we get those +1/+1, that +X, you know, it gets more cheaper. Jorkadine, first Gold Warden, gets +X, where X is the number of equipped creatures you control. So get plenty of creatures to draw power, plenty of creatures to get that additional +X. Yeah, love to see it. Go down to the West Tree, give our creatures trample, makes it so that they could have, searches for those lands as well, because we're going to need lands for a stack. We have the equip cost we have to keep paying for. We keep playing for Cloud if he keeps getting destroyed. Kuzi, Malamet Exemplar. Whenever one or more creatures you control deals combat damage with its power greater, we get to draw a card. Okay, just good draw power. Nahiri, Forged in Fury. Affinity for equipment, aka normally just cost that red and white to cast. Whenever an equipped creature you control attacks, exile a top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Once again, we want to benefit mostly off of like the number of equipped creatures we have attacking, not necessarily like the 7 power on this deck. So it could work out. Getting those additional draw power essentially. Whenever equipment enters under your control, you may draw a card. Additional draw power makes it so we can equip stuff for free. Rayav, Master Smith. Whenever a creature you control that's enchanted or equipped attacks, gets double strength. Once again, sometimes we just need to win with Cloud with commander damage, so make it so he can deal damage twice. This way, we need at least a 2/2 on him in order to get him up to 6/6. Without only we go 12 each turn, which would be enough to destroy one opponent. Sram for additional draw power, Stormforge Mystic for search power, and then Violet, Soul to Steel for draw a card. Once again, additional draw power. Oof. I don't know why. I feel like I've been talking a long time for this video already. Let's scroll on over to the second half of the deck. For enchantments for this deck, we have Forge Anew in order to get an additional copy of our best equipment. Sigarda's Aid in order to get our equipments back from our graveyard. We cast them as though I had Flash. Attached to our creature control. I read that wrong. I was thinking of a different card. You could cast your artifacts and enchantments for free, attach them, get them right away. Creature attacking causes an ability to happen. It happens an additional time. So we get that additional draw power, we get those additional treasures, all the additional stuff we want. We got some instants for removal: Beast Within, Cast Warp, Generous Gift, Heroic Intervention for protection, inventory management for equipping our stuff, Path to Exile for removal, Silk Guard for that protection, and Source Plowshare for some removal. Then for our Planeswalkers, we have Nahiri, Harry the Ancients, and Nahiri the Lithomancer. Both these are just really good with equipment decks, so we could not run them. But that's the general, that's a card by card of the deck. If you like how we run it, make sure you leave it down there in the comment section. Or if you think I should go faster or slower, drew any part of the deck, make sure you leave it down there in the comment section. As always, I'm just scrolling through the lands here, so I always like to say, if you just want to run basics, you couldn't just run basics, but this is, in theory, the most ideal way you can run the deck. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope you stay tuned for the next one.